Dylan Walsh doing a tailgate talk at Paula, aka Fox Raceway. I feel super bad because he just got done doing a 30-minute moto, and I'm like, hey, let's do an interview real quick. But thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
No, it's good. Like, it's not that hot out here today, so 30s aren't that bad, really. So, no, it's all good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, now I can feel like what you guys have to go through when I ask people to do an interview, and I'm riding. Usually I'm not the one in gear, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of hard, like sitting here, it's like the last thing you want to do, you know, but it's still fun. But it is a good overcast day, which is nice. But some of you guys know Dylan. For the ones that don't, you were born in London. You moved to New Zealand when you were young, like 3 or 4 or something like that, right? When you were super young. Yeah, and you raced over there, but then you also came over here and raced for a while, and then did you go back to do GPs? Or how did that work for you? I can't remember.
So, yeah, I was born in London, moved to New Zealand when I was 3. I was there till 16. Then I went to MTF for 2 years.
Millsaps?
Yeah.
Millsaps place? Yeah.
For 2 years, I did like, Loretta's, Mini O's, Monster Cup. And then I got hurt at Mini O's, my bike blew up on one of the jumps. So I flew back to New Zealand, and then I turned, I think it was 18, and then my dad was like, get a job or make it a job. So,
oh, really?
So then I did a couple of races in New Zealand, and then Townley called me up and said there's like a European Championship ride that I can take. So I went to Holland in 2017. Done European 250 Championship that year, and then again the next year for a German team, and then in 19 I went World Championship.
So you've been all over.
I've been everywhere. I've raced pretty much everywhere. Yeah, so it's been good, and it's nice to see how different everywhere is.
Yeah, and you're able to kind of compare some of the things. I know a lot of guys, they get mad or they get upset, and they feel like they're missing out if they're European, and they're like, oh, I really want to race in the U.S. And like some U.S. guys are like, oh, I really want to race the GPs, you know, or in Europe or Spain or wherever, you know?
The GP is sick because every weekend is a different country. So like, you're experiencing the world, but you're also racing and making a living, which is sick. But then Supercross has all the limelight, all the sponsors, all the money. So like everyone wants to really race Supercross.
So you have a lot of people that are over there, like that are running in Europe and stuff, and it's all like, oh, their dream. Not everybody, but a lot of people's dreams is to come out to America, and you've lived that.
Yeah.
You know,
I wouldn't say their dreams, like, because like when you grow up not riding Supercross, it's a polar opposite sport in a way. Like it's not. Yeah. So like a lot of people in Europe would like to do it, but they haven't had the fundamentals, like they grew up in sand, or like it's just not the same.
When did you first ride a Supercross track?
Millsaps.
Really?
Yeah. I was like,
because you did Monster Cup and stuff.
It was a week before Monster Cup, so that was when I properly had a go at it,
What was that first experience for you? Was it like, oh shit, this is the craziest thing I've ever done, or did you kind of like dive in like, yeah, I love this?
No, like I only did a week, so I didn't really get my feet wet. So it wasn't that bad. So I thought it was actually not bad at all. And then I did the Ardach German Supercross in the end of 17, which I didn't find bad at all either, because it was like arena cross. But then when I came over here in 22 to do Supercross, I was like, oh, like the practice tracks are like, they're really tough.
Gnarly.
And then I showed up to A1 and I walked the track and I was like, fuck, I think
it was even bigger than you thought.
I thought I made a mistake, like this is too much. Like, there's levels, like practicing public in California is like not even close to how the races are.
Oh yeah, I could imagine that. I've never been on a racing like at actual Supercross track at a stadium, but I've ridden the ones here, and that scares me just rolling around these ones.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, like the Supercross is like twice as steep, twice as big. Then you have the tough blocks.
Everything kind of shrinks and then gets bigger.
Yeah. And then you have like no one really sees, but the ruts in between each transition are like
deep.
Yeah, and you don't know, like they're all different. So one could be soft, one could be hard, one could have like a curb in it. Like you just never know what you're getting. Like one could
Yeah.
have lift, some could be like a low line.
Yeah, and you're trying to hit that same section and it throws you completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You guys are insane when you ride at that level. You know, there's like a little bit of a screw loose, but it's also like an addiction. You know, like it's like a lot of fun. Is a lot of people look at that and they either shy away from it. And guys that get to your level, I think you guys kind of go, oh, I'm gonna go head first into this and like dig even closer to it to get to that edge.
Yeah.
But being safe, right?
Yeah,
You
like
know?
it is like everyone's nervous on race day, like, and
Yeah.
it's like even when you go to hit one of like there's a quad in a section, like
Yeah.
you're like ooh, until you do it. Like it's one of those ones.
Yeah. So kind of coming back a little bit, when you were in Europe and you were racing all those different, I mean, you have so many, it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to back up. When it's a little bit easier when you go to, all right, I'm going to grow up racing the tracks that you kind of grew up racing, right? Like in the GPs, it's like you lived in New Zealand, though. I don't know how much you would compare that to racing.
opposite,
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, I was thinking Europe and like England, but you grew up racing in New Zealand.
So like I had
It's
never
like-
really rode sand until I went to Europe. And
Yeah.
that's like riding like Lommel or like those tracks around Holland is like going on Supercross for the first
Oh,
time.
yeah. It's like guys that ride out here and then they go to Glamis for like the first time or whatever, and they're like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't even know how to ride right now.
Yeah.
But to maybe the exact opposite because you're freaking racing. But how was that? Like, when did you decide like, okay, I'm done, not done in Europe because you could always go back, but I'm like, I'm gonna make this transition in the US and I'm gonna give it everything I possibly have to make it successful here. When did you decide? How old were you when that happened?
I grew up only watching Supercross.
Oh, really?
So when I went to Europe, I didn't know anybody. I knew like Hurlings and Caroli,
but that was it.
I'd never watched it.
Yeah.
Like the only time I followed GPs was when Coppins was racing.
Really?
And it was only to watch Coppins. Like,
Yeah.
so
That's interesting. I wouldn't expect that.
no, I had no interest in Europe. It was just, it was an opportunity to keep racing and then obviously like improve myself, improve my opportunities, and like one step closer to making it a proper living. So
Yeah.
I just jumped at it.
So is there types of series or races that you'll have in New Zealand or Europe or wherever that like you would have, or the US riders would have with like Lorettas and stuff like that? Did you ever race Lorettas?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What year did you race Lorettas? While
15
ago.
and 16.
Okay. There's no series over there that's similar to that for like amateur kids?
No, so New Zealand New Zealand, Australia is the same. It's called like New Zealand Nationals and Australian Nationals.
Oh, okay.
It's a one-off event
Okay.
at one track.
Yeah.
It changes every year. So like, and everything revolves around that race. So
Okay.
if you like, say you go to New Zealand Nationals and you go, use 5 race, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday,
Yeah.
and you blow your bike up in one of them,
You're done.
that year is like a write-off. Like,
Oh, yeah.
because you can't, because everything revolves around like New Zealand Nationals.
And that's kind of unfortunate, but it like the whole cream rises to the top thing, you know, it's like kind of forces you, you know, to either sink or swim. But when you came over here, was it like, hey, I don't ever want to go back just because of how some of those things would happen in Europe? Like if you have one bad race, it's over. But like here, you have different qualifiers and like things like that.
No, Europe's like that, like qualified, like not qualifiers, but Europe you got to qualify. Like I think for an 85, you got to qualify for the European Championship.
Yeah.
But then your country can also pick you for the World Championship. Mm-hmm. So there's like 2 big ones, and then same as that's 65 and 85. But then 125 you got European 125, which is I'm not too sure, maybe 6 or 7 rounds.
Yeah.
So and they're all at the GPs. So you race the same track as a GP, like same weekend.
That's
so like
gnarly.
you're learning, like you're already learning to be there, and like even I think the 85s at the European Championship do 20+1
Oh, really?
motos. Yeah.
Oh, wow. When was the last time you raced over there?
I still raced the British Championship like
That's
last
right.
year,
You were just there last year. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But like World Championship was 2020.
Yeah.
I filled in for Jackie Martin Honda in like the 450 MXGP class.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2020.
So is there anything, if you could take like one piece of like the GP series or the European series and bring it to America, is there anything that you would bring over? Maybe like a format or?
The GPs compared to outdoors.
Yeah.
Seems
Not
way,
Supercross,
No, it seems way more professional.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, to relate outdoors here is like a big domestic championship in Europe. It's just like more people.
Yeah.
Like yeah, obviously more teams
Yeah.
and everything, but like the GP, just like it's more set up like MotoGP or Formula One.
Yeah.
Like you've got like the pit lane where like they make it every weekend, and there's like each team has their own pit box, and then on top you have like team personnel on that bit so they can watch. And you've got like the one TV has live timing, one TV has live coverage.
So you'd like to bring a little bit of that element over?
I just think that's more. It's just more professional, the GPs and outdoors. But then Supercross is like another level again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, I think comparing, especially for the European riders and the GP riders, it's a lot easier to compare to the outdoors. Supercross you can't compare anything to. It's dumb. I feel like everybody on the track just got off too. It got all silent.
Yeah.
Okay, so you raced here Supercross last year, ended with injury, right? Had to take out or had to come out of that. Supercross again this year, unfortunately ended on A1, right, with injury. How are you feeling now? I know you and I have already talked about this, so I feel like you have to do this again, but how are you feeling now? Like, because the injury that you went through this year was pretty severe, was pretty damn gnarly, and I was there. I watched it happen, and it was one of the gnarliest things I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate. Like, it was a little mistake on my behalf.
Yeah.
But the track wasn't, the crash wasn't so big, but the way I crashed and the handlebar going through my stomach, it was just awkward.
It's pretty serious, if you ask me.
No, it was a serious injury, but the medic crew there like looked after me super quickly, super like professional, got me to hospital. They like sorted me out straight away. Like everything was like perfect, really. So my recovery's been mint. I got back on the bike 4.5 weeks after surgery. So I think I've just been on the bike a little over a week. Like, almost 2 weeks now. So I'm feeling good. I've got 4 more weeks to get prepared and be ready for Seattle.
And you're training with Grindstone and Carrie, which is the funniest thing in the world. Is I saw on her phone it was Boss Lady coming through, which is actually very fitting. Yeah. How has it been training with Carrie and like the whole Grindstone team? Because it looks like you take the training aspect of it very seriously. Did you always have like that, no pun intended, grind attitude to it?
No, like I didn't really know what it took.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like, I've always been one to like, I'm not scared to put effort in.
Yeah.
But I didn't know which way to put the effort in.
Okay.
So it was not until I started working with Swanee, Gareth Swanepoel in 2019, and he really showed me the ins and outs of the training side, preparing side. I did that for a couple of years, so he really
dialed it in.
Yeah, he really got it into my head, like how to do things. So then when I came to Carrie at Grindstone, she was on the same level of doing everything, but I've already been doing it, so it was an easy transition.
It wasn't a complete shock.
No. So like it's roughly all similar things, and but then because Swanee was doing all in Europe and Swanee was in America, so it was all phone and on the app. So with Carrie, it's hands-on.
Hands-on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I said it earlier, but I joke every time I ride by her. Like I'm not training with her, but like I feel like I have to have perfect form because I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah.
You know, like not even yelled at. It's just more of like the stern talking to.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're coming back to Seattle, right? That's the target. When you are getting closer and closer, come from working back from an injury twice, how do you kind of like put yourself through that like mental aspect of it, of the injury that you kind of go through, and like what are the things that you're doing to kind of like say, hey, you know what, I'm here and I should be here, and it's okay, leave the injury stuff to the side and just pound away at like getting back into racing?
It's a tough one because I had 2 months of pre-season before A1 and it went like pretty much perfect.
Yeah, you look
like,
good.
Yeah, so I felt everything was like I like couldn't really fault the pre-season, and there was like one mistake I made at A1 which put me in that position. So like I'm not just gonna, I look at all the good that had happened, not just the one bad thing.
Yeah, like the goods outweighing the cons like completely.
But then again, like that was my first race back on Supercross in Seattle.
Yeah.
And then my next race
is Seattle
again.
Yeah.
So like I would have fought a few demons on that one, but
yeah, but it's just like me, like even just riding as a weekend where you put on, like you have all the nerves and you like you get scared and things like that. You put on the helmet and you go out there and how you're saying like the quad and you're scared to do it at first, but then you go out there and you ride, it all kind of goes away.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, dirt bike riders are sick, like really.
I think all motorsports the same. It's just like the level, putting your helmet on, and it just changes.
All right, so the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, your boy Dean Wilson. Every time I post a clip, every time I post a picture of you, it's always right in my DM. How's Walshy looking? How's he looking? How's he feeling? And I'm like, damn, Dino, I'm like, you are on top of it. I think he'll be your trainer if he decides to hang up the boots.
He's on my case 24/7, so no.
How long have you guys known each other?
A few years, but because obviously different countries, it wasn't really much. But then since I've been in California, we've got really close. We mountain bike a lot, and we ride together as much as we can. And we honestly just talk shit every day in the group chat. Really, like that's all we do.
That's what you should do too.
Yeah. So we make it fun, and I think he gets like my sense of humor from like, I guess, like, not to be rude, but Americans have different.
Oh yeah, we do.
So like the shit we laugh at is like
a lot different. A
lot different to what I know we can't really do it with the classic, you know, the classic American.
Yeah, so you guys have that little bond together, which is pretty rad, I think. All right, so Dino, I know you're gonna be watching this because you watch everything this guy does, it seems. You need to get out here and give him some shit. He's not here. He ain't doing nothing.
No, he just went back to Florida.
Yeah, but he said he was gonna do an outdoor race. He was toying with the idea. I'm like, you ain't doing no outdoor race. I started laughing at that. And he came out here and did like 10-minute motos and like was done. I'm like, you ain't racing outdoors, bro. It ain't happening. All right, so actually the last thing I was gonna say, do you know how gnarly you are riding a dirt bike? Your style, like riding a dirt bike is insane. If you haven't, you have to go look at this dude's Instagram because that's where you post a lot of those clips. You're on the side of the track, on the side of the lip. You're like, dude, you went through a berm over here on the outside probably 30 times faster than I could have done it. Is that just something that you just like? That's the kind of way that you like riding? Or is it just how you ride better? Like, because it's insane.
Yeah, I've always had this type of way of riding, and I just like to have fun. Like, that's the biggest thing in the sport, is have fun. So like,
a lot of people forget that.
Yeah, doing that type of stuff is fun for me, and just like whipping, scrubbing, it's just cool. And I don't know, like sometimes I have I find it tough to bring this practice day stuff to the race because it's more serious.
Yeah,
so, like,
but you have to have fun.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where it's hard. Like, I need to bring this fun practice day stuff to like the seriousness under the lights, if you know what I mean. That's the tough part. But like, no, I just like to have fun. Like, that's really it.
Well, it's a lot of fun to watch. I'll tell you that right now.
Thank you.
But good luck when you get back to Seattle. Good luck training. I mean, Carrie's wrenching right now. She's ready to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. It's fun riding with you. It's fun being out here doing this stuff with you. You know, thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we'll do more. Maybe I'll see you in Seattle.
Maybe. I'll be fighting some demons.
Fuck.